Stories shape our world. They influence what we believe, who we support, and how we see right and wrong. The conflict between Israel and Gaza is a prime example. How it's told can change everything. Mainstream media in the UK has long presented this conflict through a narrow lens, often sidelining Palestinian voices. But now, more people are questioning the official story, demanding a fuller truth. The narrative doesn't just inform, it drives policy, international relations, and public opinion. When one side's story dominates, it becomes harder to push for peace or justice. Today, a new conversation is emerging, one that challenges who gets to tell the story and why it matters for all of us. Glastonbury isn't just a music festival, it's a cultural barometer. In 2024 and 2025, its fields were filled with Palestinian flags, artists, and crowds making bold statements of solidarity. Bob Vyland's set called out media bias, while Kneecap defied political pressure to shout "Free Palestine" from the stage. These weren't isolated moments. Other artists joined in, reflecting a wider shift in public opinion, especially among the young. Social media showed a reality from Gaza that clashed with mainstream news. Glastonbury became a space for collective frustration and unity, amplifying voices demanding change. The festival's symbolism was huge. Millions saw a public defiance of the official line. The gap between the establishment and the public was on full display. Music and activism merged, challenging the status quo and centering the human cost of conflict. When Glastonbury became a stage for protest, the BBC faced a dilemma. After airing Bob Vyland's set, the BBC removed it from iPlayer, citing strong language. Critics saw it as censorship. The next year, Kneecap's set wasn't broadcast at all, sparking accusations of silencing dissent. The BBC's choices drew backlash, especially from younger audiences who turned to social media for unfiltered coverage. The controversy deepened when the BBC refused to air a documentary on Gaza's medics, while Channel 4 stepped in. Critics, including BBC journalists, accused the broadcaster of promoting a state-aligned narrative. Trust in the BBC has eroded, with many feeling its attempts at neutrality have resulted in biased coverage. The public is demanding more transparency and accountability from its media institutions. Protest language is powerful and often misunderstood. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, is seen by many as a call for equality, but is often portrayed as extremist by media and politicians. This framing distorts intent, fueling division and shutting down real conversation. Another example, Bob Vyland's "Death to the IDF" chant, meant as defiance against a military force, was widely reported as hate speech. The nuance of protest language is lost, and hyperbole is mistaken for literal threats. This war of words shapes public perception, controlling which voices are legitimized. Pro-Palestinian slogans are scrutinized, while dehumanizing language against Palestinians often goes unchallenged. The double standard is clear. Some speech is condemned, others ignored. Language becomes a battleground, validating one side's pain while erasing the other's. The UK isn't alone. Pro-Palestinian voices in the US face even fiercer opposition. Criticizing Israeli policy is politically risky, especially for progressive politicians and activists. Figures like Zoran Mamdani face smear campaigns, while students and academics risk blacklisting for supporting Palestinian rights. Major US media outlets largely echo the government line, making balanced coverage rare. Bob Vyland's US visa revocation after Glastonbury shows how dissent is punished internationally. Speaking up for Palestine in the US, as in the UK, comes at a real personal and professional cost. The narrative is no longer controlled by a few powerful institutions. Social media has created a new public square, letting anyone become a storyteller. First-hand accounts from Gaza now reach millions directly, bypassing traditional gatekeepers. Young people build their understanding from these raw, unfiltered stories, not just the nightly news. Artists like Kneecap and Bob Vylan use their platforms to force conversations mainstream media avoids. Music and art translate complex issues into emotional, accessible statements. This new activism connects on a human level, inspiring people to see the conflict differently. The landscape is chaotic, with misinformation, but it's broken the old media monopoly. Mass protests are organized and amplified online, showing a shift in public consciousness. The people have found their own microphone, and they're telling the story they feel has been ignored. Why does this battle over narrative matter? Because it shapes real lives and policies. When suffering is ignored or dehumanized, injustice thrives. Glastonbury and the backlash expose deep divisions, institutions clinging to old narratives, while new voices demand change. The BBC faces a reckoning. Its claims of impartiality are under fire and trust is slipping away. This is a crisis for traditional media, but also a chance to reflect a more truthful, complex world. The story of Israel and Gaza tests our commitment to fairness, empathy, and human rights. New voices aren't just changing the narrative on Palestine, they're changing how stories are told. In the fight for justice, the story you tell is everything.